What if Shanks had trained Luffy from the beginning? First off, forget that scene where little Luffy jumps into the sea to save Shanks and almost becomes Sea King Sushi. In this timeline, Shanks, older, wiser, and with time to spare, since he doesn't dash off right after the Haguma mess, decides to do something different, give the future Pirate King a little push, but of course a Shanks-style push with plenty of punches, laughter, and hockey flying out of his feet. While he's staying in Foosha Village, Shanks starts training Luffy with some light sparring. Like, let's see if you can take a hockey-infused gut punch without losing your teeth. Luffy, being the wild kid he is, thinks it's awesome. He picks up some basic hockey, observation hockey to dodge Makino's slaps when he steals food, armament hockey so his punches don't feel like jelly, and a touch of Conquerors just to break wine glasses for no reason. Here's the twist. By age 7, Luffy's punches are strong enough to leave Ace and Sabo speechless. Like, they're arguing over who's stronger, and Luffy shows up all, I want to play too. They look at each other and go, yeah, let's not mess with this guy. Romance Dawn, chapters 1 to 7. With Shanks' training, Luffy starts the manga already throwing punches with kanji sound effects. When Higuma tries to kidnap him again, Luffy unleashes pre-kindergarten level Conqueror's Haki and knocks out the guy and half the village. The Sea King still shows up, but after locking eyes with Luffy, it's like, nope. Shanks, seeing the kids ready, hands over the hat and says, go live your story, kid. But with that vibe of, you're already stronger than half the pirates I know. Orange Town, chapters 8 to 21. Luffy lands in the town where Buggy's causing chaos. But this time, he's got hockey in his fists and serious energy in his stare. As soon as Buggy starts his clown act, literally, Luffy spots that big red nose as the weak point. Observation, hockey OP, aims, and boom. Buggy flies off in 3 pieces, and Luffy jokes, oops, didn't mean to. Nami sees that and thinks, this nutjob's my ticket out of here. And just like that, the crew begins to grow. Syrup Village, chapters 22 to 41. Kuro doesn't even get the chance to start his tea party plot. Luffy smells the villain vibes from 2 miles away, literally, thanks to hockey. When Kuro tries that flashy 1000-slash move, Luffy hits him with a premature Red Hawk just to make it clear. No games here. Usopp's in total shock, of course. You're a monster. I'm a pirate. End of story. Usopp joins up to become the sharpshooter and maybe learn some sniper hockey someday. Verity, chapters 42 to 68. We get to the floating restaurant. Luffy still wants food, but now even the waiters respect him. His aura basically says, don't mess with me. Don Krieg shows up with all his weapons. But Luffy now hits hard and with precision. He uses armament hockey, cracks Krieg's armor like an eggshell, and sends his spear launcher flying back with a Gomu Gomu, no return to sender. Sanji watches and thinks, yeah, I'm following this guy. Zeph approves too. He even says, this pirate's got better manners than most. Doesn't yell, doesn't trash the kitchen, just the enemies. Arlong Park, chapters 69 to 95. This part's even more powerful than the original. Luffy senses Nami's pain with his observation hockey before she even asks for help. He looks her in the eye and says, I'll destroy everything for you. Unlike the original, where he takes a few hits, this Luffy shows up at the gates and drops half the fishmen with a Conqueror's hockey blast. Arlong takes one look and thinks, this ain't your average human. They still fight, of course. Arlong's stubborn, but Luffy punches so hard he breaks the fishman's jaw with a focused hockey smash. Wake up, Nemo style. Then he adds, that was for her map, you fishy fraud. Logtown, chapters 96 to 100. Smoker shows up, but Luffy's sharp now. He senses the guy coming with observation hockey and doesn't get caught off guard. He still can't hit Logia types yet, but he dodges and keeps his distance until the literal Dragon of Fate saves him. Smoker walks off thinking, this kid's like 2 arcs ahead of everyone else. And Luffy? He's already thinking about finding a sniper, a doctor, maybe even a talking reindeer. Spoiler? Reverse Mountain to Drum Island, chapters 101 to 154. Everything plays out mostly the same, but upgraded. Laboon doesn't need to headbutt the ship. Luffy senses him and stops in time. They talk it out calmly. No punching required. On Drum Island, Wapol tries to act like a king. Luffy gives him a hockey flick that sends him flying into the sea. And when he meets Chopper, he instantly senses the reindeer has a kind heart. Chopper joins the crew without hesitation, totally pumped. This guy's got rubber arms and king powers. Why wouldn't I? Alabasta, chapters 155 to 217, Luffy lands in Alabasta with a strong crew and high morale. He understands the world better now, so he's more careful. When he runs into Crocodile, oh, he already trained how to deal with Logia types using basic Haki, so no more nearly dying in the sand. That first fight, Luffy comes in swinging with Haki-coated rubber punches. Baroque Works doesn't stand a chance. Robin even joins the crew out of respect, and because she knows this kid's going places. Jaya and Skypiea, chapters 218 to 302, Luffy slaps Bellamy right away, no speech needed. And when he gets to Skypiea, Enel realizes he can't read Luffy with his mantra. That places version of observation Haki, because Luffy's got it too. The fight's way more balanced, with Enel finally feeling the weight of a punch, powered not just by rubber, but pure Haki and God-thundering rage. Water 7 and Eni's Lobby, chapters 322 to 430. Now things get real good. Luffy's basically a mini Yonko at this point. When CP9 shows up, he doesn't get the politics, but he knows one thing. They're not taking Robin. The fight with Lucci, still epic, but this time Luffy uses Conqueror's Haki to shake the room. Observation to dodge leopard claws, and armament to smash through Lucci's defense. By the end, Lucci's down, Robin's safe, and Luffy, without even realizing it, is already stamped with global threat on his forehead. Thriller Bark, chapters 442 to 489, Luffy and his crew roll into Thriller Bark expecting a chill cruise and end up at a fear resort run by a giant zombie, a singing bat, and a shadow-loving goth. But Luffy's not scared. The second Moria shows up, Luffy flips on observation Haki and knows this square-jawed dude is weird, but dangerous. Moria tries his usual trick, steals Luffy's shadow, laughs like a low-budget vampire, and tries to puppet his body. But Luffy, who already clashed with Crocodile and Lucci, is 2 steps ahead. He fakes falling for the plan just to sneak in and hit Moria with such a blast of Conqueror's Haki that half the island zombies faint. Perona literally screams, "He's the real horror," and Ghost floats off to therapy. As for Oars, that's when Luffy really shows why learning Haki young changes everything. No need for his friends to stretch his arms or play the salt gimmick. He just starts pounding Oars with armament Haki fists and kicks, like One Punch Man, but elastic. The giant starts cracking like a cheap building. And Moria, when it's time for his final zombie fusion form, Luffy takes a breath, lets out a roar of Conqueror's Haki that nearly scares Brook's hip bone off, and boom, faster win, less exhaustion, and Luffy still has time to roast Moria's nose at the end. Post-fight, Kuma shows up, but this time it's different. Luffy, now with a grip on basic King's Haki, and a don't mess with me aura, stares him down. Kuma considers attacking, but feels this Luffy ain't just some punk. Zoro still pulls the self-sacrifice move because Zoro is Zoro and honor ribs, but the vibe is way more tense. Kuma respects Luffy as a future threat and leaves without wrecking the whole crew. Sabaody Archipelago, chapters 490 to 513. Now this arc, this is where it all really shifts. Landing in Sabaody, Luffy already has that I read the script feeling. He uses Haki and senses the tension, sees the slaves, the discriminated fishmen, and the celestial dragons acting like prom queens, with zero charm. When that critical moment hits, and a Tenryubido shoots a fishman, in the original, Luffy punches him so hard the whole island hears it. In this version, same thing. He still decks the noble like a mosquito. No hesitation. Only now, he's ready for the fallout. He knows he made noise, and he knows the Marines are coming. When the pacifistas show up, no panic, no breakdown, he steps up with a plan. Uses observation Haki to dodge lasers, armament to turn robots into piñatas, and Conquerors to drop as many enemies as possible. Still, they're outnumbered. Then Kizaru shows up, shining brighter than a nightclub sign, and Luffy knows this is the real deal. He tries, he fights, but realizes, yeah, this one's busted. Even so, unlike the original, he keeps his cool. Kuma's plan still happens. The crew still gets split. One Piece demands drama, but the difference? Luffy doesn't scream in despair. He looks up, blood dripping, and thinks, I'm coming back, and when I do, it's gonna be full Haki, turbo punch, and a king's roar. Impel Down, chapters 525 to 549. Man, this is Luffy in solo mode. I'm saving my brother, even if I have to tear the world down. Original Luffy was already wild in this arc, but trained by Shanks Luffy? Dude walks into Impel Down like it's a theme park with a mission. He drops half of level 1 with a yawning burst of Conqueror's Haki. Minotaurs and demon guards, he barely gets dirty. One Haki punch, and they go flying. Buggy and Mr. 3 just stare like, what is this guy made of? When he gets to Magellan's level, yeah, Haki doesn't beat poison yet, but he's more cautious, senses the danger, tries to dodge, does his best. Might still get poisoned, but not as bad. And Ivankov shows up earlier. Luffy's already built that rep. The prisoners hear Luffy and go, that's the Haki kid, and they follow him like a rock star. He leaves Impel Down with a whole army, but now people aren't just watching. The rumors start. That kid with the hat? He's the new name to watch. Marineford, chapters 550 to 580. The craziest pre-time skip battle, and now with a Luffy who's emotionally and physically way more prepared. He shows up flying in on Jinbei's Orca-powered rocket, and this time, as soon as he lands, he instinctively unleashes Conqueror's Haki. Boom! Marines drop like flies, pirates freeze, everyone turns and thinks, who is this kid? The admirals immediately realize this isn't just some rookie. And when Luffy charges to save Ace, he's not charging in blindly anymore. He senses attacks, dodges with observation Haki, hits hard with armament, and plows forward like a damn bulldozer. Yeah, the situation is still tragic. We won't talk about the heartbreaking loss, but you know. But Luffy's impact on the battlefield is on a whole new level. When he screams, the world hears it. When he cries, the ground cracks. And when he passes out, even Shanks shows up thinking, this kid turned into a monster. Post-Marineford, chapters 581 to 597. Even with all the training, Luffy still feels the weight of that loss. But here's the difference. He figures out what he needs to do much faster. No deep spiral into depression. Just a clear decision. I'm getting truly strong now. He sends out the 2-year message with more conviction. And then he trains, like Goku going full Super Saiyan 4 mode. By the time the time skip ends, he's got a solid Haki foundation, and what he does during those 2 years with Rayleigh just supercharges everything Shanks started. 2 years pass, the world goes quiet, like it's holding its breath before a thunderclap. The Marines rebuild half their bases, pirates change their pants, and the world government updates their firewalls. But deep down, everyone knows the Straw Hat's coming back. What no one expected was that Luffy, trained by Shanks, upgraded by Rayleigh, and powered by pure shonen protagonist DNA, would return so dangerous that even Doflamingo started locking up his toys in fear. Luffy returns with new wisdom, new techniques, and way more physical strength. If before he was like a meat missile with a goofy smile, now he's a walking destruction factory with a Shanks quality approved stamp. And yeah, he's still wild, still charges headfirst, still says he's hungry in like 90% of his lines. But now he does it while punching Logias like they're bubble wrap. Let's dive into his post-time skip comeback before we get to the Big Mom Chaos return to Sabaody, chapters 598 to 602. The most chaotic and wholesome reunion in history. The Straw Hats, each one more bizarre and overpowered than the last, regroup at Sabaody. Luffy shows up flexing Conqueror's Haki just to remind folks who's boss. Fake Straw Hats all faint at once. Marines try to trap the area. Soldiers either get dropped by Haki or knocked out with punches. Simple as that. This time, no one doubts who the real Luffy is. His aura basically yells, I eat CP units for breakfast. Rayleigh watches from a distance with that proud uncle look like, this kid's gonna destroy the world. Love that. Fishman Island, chapters 603 to 653. Luffy and crew dive into their new adventure, greeted by sharks, sea monsters, and an island that looks like an underwater fashion show. Fishman Island is gorgeous, but the structural racism is uglier than Buggy's nose. Luffy feels it. He doesn't fully get the concept of discrimination, but with observation Haki, he feels the weird energy in the air. When the new Fishman pirates show up, led by Hody Jones and his squad of evil steroid junkie dietitians, Luffy goes into full sweep mode. Hody's spewing hate speech and popping shady pills. But Luffy, now he's fighting underwater with full-body Haki armor. He headbutts Hody so hard Poseidon probably flinched. With Jinbei and the rest backing him up, he solves the whole conflict without breaking too much of a sweat and even wins over Shirahoshi, even if he has no clue what she meant by "you're different." Most important part, he declares, I'll destroy this island if anyone hurts this princess again, and everyone believes him. This isn't just anime flair. The people know he could actually do it. And Luffy, he just wants some takoyaki afterward. Punk Hazard, chapter 654 to 699. This is where things start to stink, literally. Poison gas and madness. Luffy lands on Punk Hazard and instantly senses that the island is just wrong. One side's burning, the other's frozen, and in the middle, you've got a mad scientist, a giant kid, chopped up samurais, and a dude who laughs while freezing everything in sight. Enter Caesar Clown, the arrogant scientist type. I'm unbeatable. My gas is deadly. Blah, blah, blah. But Luffy's observation Haki is on Mom Who Knows You're Lying mode. He sees right through the guy. Their fight doesn't even last that long. Luffy walks through the gas, grabs Caesar by the collar, and punches him so hard with armament Haki, the guy probably skips 3 chapters ahead. The real focus becomes, what is this dude doing to these kids? And Luffy, official protector of innocent childhoods, goes full daycare defender. Result? He rescues the kids, smashes the lab, earns the respect of a samurai named Kinemon, and a talking heart who turns out to be Trafalgar. D slow motion. Law. Law proposes an alliance, and Luffy's like, sounds fun, but deep down he knows, this guy's gonna help me wreck some serious people. Dressrosa, chapter 700 to 801. Man, if this arc were a pizza, it'd have like 30 toppings. You've got toys, gladiators, fairies, flaming swords, fallen kingdoms, collapsing kingdoms, and a villain with a god complex and a creepy permanent smile. Doflamingo is the boss. He controls people with invisible strings and is more manipulative than a soap opera villain. In the original timeline, he was already a huge problem, but now Luffy shows up way more than ready. With advanced Haki, Luffy can sense Doflamingo's strings before they're even active. He enters the Coliseum as Lucci, which is now a certified badass name, and becomes the arena's nightmare. He takes down giants, monsters, armored fighters, buffed up fishmen, you name it, and still finds time to befriend Bartolomeo. Once the real fight starts, Doflamingo tries to mind control the citizens, threatens Rebecca, and spreads chaos. But Luffy already cracked the whole plan before the chapter could explain it. He launches into Gear 4 early. With so much pressure, the sky literally shatters like glass. Doffy puts up a fight. He's no pushover. But the difference now is that Luffy has zero patience. Every punch lands with maxed out Haki and the full energy of, I'm not here to play hero, I'm here to end this circus. In the end, Dressrosa is saved, Luffy becomes a living legend, and people start whispering, what if he actually becomes the Pirate King? Zoo, chapters 802 to 824. After all that brawling, it's finally time for a chill island. Just kidding. It's a giant elephant with a kingdom on its back. Because Oda doesn't know limits, and we love that. Luffy arrives at Zoo and finds out Sanji is missing. But first, he meets the minks. And guess what? With his observation Haki sharp as ever, he realizes the place was attacked, but the people are still standing strong. He meets Inuarashi, Nekomamushi, and Momonosuke, who looks like just a kid, but carries a Kaido-sized spoiler on his back. Oh, and Jack? The Jack who wrecked half of Zoo and is thicker than a prison wall? Luffy already knows he'll have to punch that guy someday. But for now, he waits, because the real mess is with another name, Big Mom. Sanji's been kidnapped, or rather, politely forced into a political marriage with a side of threats. And Luffy, he just takes a deep breath and says, all right, I'm going to get my cook. And if Big Mom thinks she can stop me, she better start baking. Whole Cake Island, chapters 825 to 902. It all kicks off with one clear goal: rescue Sanji. The crew's cook got roped into an arranged marriage with one of Big Mom's daughters, an event loaded with family blackmail, political strategy, and of course, cake, because there's always cake. Luffy rolls into Totoland with his B-team crew: Nami, Brook, Chopper, Carrot, and Pedro, the stylish rabbit with wisdom in his eyes and trauma in his past. This is the land where everything is edible and nothing is safe. You stare at a chocolate wall and it stares back. Sugar is a trap, and the forest? Straight up insane. Like, you go in for apples and come out chatting with a tree named Bob. But Luffy comes prepared. He's got his observation Haki on full ways mode, dodging traps, sensing weird auras, and most importantly, figuring out what's real food and what's just a walking cracker waiting to throw hands. Soon enough, they clash with one of Big Mom's top guys, Cracker, one of her 3 sweet commanders, and the master of biscuit armor. Originally, Luffy struggled here, but now he's mastered armament Haki. He punches those cookies into crumbs, and when Cracker thinks he's got the upper hand, Luffy goes Gear 4, drops a Haki-covered fist, and the ground basically says, yup, that's him. Still, the fight's long, intense, and has more flying cookies than a family reunion gone wrong. In the end, with Nami's help, she's now a full-blown Weather Witch plus Storm Saleswoman. Luffy pulls through, but he's exhausted. That's when he realizes these commanders are like mini-bosses, and the big boss is still waiting. Meanwhile, Sanji's trapped in a soap opera. He's being forced to marry Pudding, Big Mom's daughter, who's got more personality layers than an onion. She starts off sweet, turns villain, goes tragic, becomes a Luffy fangirl, and loses the plot entirely. Through it all, Sanji's like, I'm confused, but staying polite. The tension builds. The wedding's coming, and the plan? Crash it. Luffy's goal is simple: mess it all up. Literally stomp the cake, the plan, everything. During the wedding invasion, Luffy does what he does best. Jumps into chaos with the biggest grin in the world, and a punch full of hope, he bursts out of a fake cake. Yes, really, yells, Sanji, let's go! And boom, total mayhem. Big Mom goes berserk when her dream cake gets trashed. Her scream is so powerful, it cracks the ground, knocks out enemies, and ruins weddings 5 islands over. That's when Luffy gets it. She's not just a Yonko with an appetite, she's a force of nature. Things get wild. The Straw Hats flee across the island. And then comes the most insane moment. Luffy versus Katakuri, the top commander, Donut Overlord, and Observation Haki Master at Matrix plus Spider Sense plus Mom's 6th Sense level. Katakuri is the first guy Luffy fights, where it's deeper than just fists. It's like a conversation through combat. And in this version of Luffy, trained since childhood, the growth is even cooler to see. For the first time in forever, he fights someone else who sees the future. The battle stretches over many chapters in a biscuit-covered arena full of rage. Luffy gets beaten down, learns, gets up, learns more, eats floor, gets up again, until slowly he starts to see like Katakuri. The fight becomes a hockey-drenched dance of fists. In the end, Luffy doesn't win by brute force, he wins in spirit. He earns Katakuri's respect, who falls with dignity and lets him go. And the world starts to realize, this kid's on another level now. He's a real threat. With the help of the crew, Jinbe, the fish people, the Sunny, the real cake baked by Sanji, who calms Big Mom with flavor, not fists, and Luffy's signature strategic stupidity, they escape. Celebration? Sure, but they all know. Kaido's just around the corner, and Luffy's already sharpening his haki and his appetite. Wano, Act 1, chapters 909 to 924. Luffy lands in Wano separated from his crew, again, because Oda loves splitting the party like it's a reality show season finale. He parachutes into a poor village where rice is scarce, but hope is served with a smile. That's where he meets Otama, the little girl who eats a dango and turns animals into pets. The kind of character that flips Luffy's maximum protection with extra hugs switch. When the local thugs mess with her, Luffy goes vintage with the Conqueror's haki, just to say, you think I'm some background character? Think again. People faint, the strong ones back off, and Luffy starts roaming Wano like he just loaded into a samurai RPG and pulled the rarest katana straight out of the box. He takes on Urashima, a sumo champ with an ego the size of Kaido. One punch from Luffy with haki in the fist, and no time for nonsense, and it's lights out. But then comes the first punch to the gut in the story. Kaido shows up. But how does Kaido show up? As a giant flying dragon screaming roar and shooting freaking lightning. Luffy doesn't even blink. He sees Kaido turn the village into charcoal in seconds and thinks, that's the final boss? Bet! He goes in. Gear 4, pumped up haki, rubber punch at light speed. Boom! A monster punch straight to Kaido's face. So strong, the narrator lost his voice. But Kaido stands back up, completely chill, like he just got bit by a mosquito. Then he throws out his signature move, just one. Reimi-Haka, a club strike so heavy it should be taxed as a luxury item. Luffy gets KO'd. End of Act 1. Send help! Wano, Act 2, chapters 925 to 955. Luffy wakes up in Udon prison, but he's not down. He's fired up. Now it's time for real training. Advanced Armament Haki, the hit without touching kind, basically Wi-Fi Haki. Thanks to Shanks and Rayleigh, Luffy's already got a solid base, so he levels up fast. Old man Hyo starts teaching, and Luffy soaks it all up like a sponge in high tide. Meanwhile, the rest of the Straw Hats are sneaking through Wano, each on their own side quest. Robin becomes a spy geisha. Frankie gets a job as a carpenter. Nami is out here stealing maps like she's Carmen Sandiego. And Zoro? Zoro's just wrecking samurai and collecting swords like it's Shimotsuki Black Friday. The arc starts building an army. Samurai from the past, revolutionaries, minks, pirates, all rising up against an empire ruled by Kaido and his business partner. Orochi, a laughing snake shogun with steamroller hair and the face of a guy who's never paid a bill on time. The plan? Infiltrate Onigashima. Free Wano. But then, the trailer for Chaos drops. Big Mom arrives in Wano. Yes, she survived, forgot about the cake, lost her memory, got nice, got her memory back, got even angrier. The world starts to shake. Wano, Act 3, The Punch Festival, chapter 956 to pre-Wano finale. Now the circus begins. All the allies gather to storm Onigashima. It's basically Avengers Assemble, but with swords, spikes, and Zoro saying, I'm not a doctor, but I can stitch you up with a katana if I need to. Luffy heads straight for the front lines. First thing he does, punches one of the entrances with a new level haki. So intense the wall starts having an existential crisis. Along the way, Luffy runs into Ulti and Page 1 from the Toby Rappo. They show up in Dino mode, full of attitude. But now, Luffy doesn't hesitate. Advanced Conqueror's haki, the kind where you don't even need to hit, just look. And the wall explodes. Ulti, KO'd, Page 1? More like Page done. Meanwhile, the samurai are fighting with tears in their eyes. The minks go full Sulong, and Zoro is losing his mind, grabbing a new sword, Enma slicing buildings, slicing swords, slicing eyeballs. Luffy climbs toward the top of Onigashima like he's heading up to clean the Revolution's water tank. And when he gets there, Kaido again. But this time, it's different. Luffy's not smiling nervously. He knows he's ready. Then comes that moment, the final test of everything Shanks started. Luffy activates infused Conqueror's Haki. He doesn't just knock out the background mobs. He punches Kaido without even touching him. It's like slapping someone with your soul. They go blow for blow. Thunder versus scream. Rage versus laughter. Luffy falls, gets up, falls again, gets up again, and each time the world realizes he's not just stubborn, he's evolving right in the middle of the fight. Then it happens. The moment that changes everything. Luffy awakens the Gomu Gomu no Mi, or rather, the Hito Hito no Mi model, Naka, the sun god, the warrior of liberation, the guy who fights with laughter and turns reality into a cartoon. Suddenly, this battle that felt like waiting in line at the DMV turns into full-on Looney Tunes God mode. Remember early Luffy, the kid who could just stretch his arms? Yeah, this isn't that anymore. The Hito Hito no Mi model. Nika isn't just a goofy fruit, it's pure freedom. Luffy becomes a hero that's somewhere between Mickey Mouse and Super Saiyan Goku, but with more punches and way more smiles. His body morphs. His face gets more animated than a group chat emoji. His fist becomes springs and his smile so wide you could hide an entire crew in it. He's throwing punches that not only smash Kaido, they make him laugh and cry at the same time. Like that one friend who takes life too seriously, then hears a joke so good it breaks his soul. And Kaido, the guy who seemed untouchable, starts sweating because for the first time he's facing someone who isn't just fighting for power. He's fighting for the right to laugh, to play, to be free. The fight turns into a gravity-defying party, with Luffy bouncing around like a human lollipop and throwing punches that look like joy bombs. At some point, Kaido's just staring at the sky, wondering if this is real or if he's stuck in a fever dream directed by Chuck Jones. Meanwhile, Zoro, Momonosuke, the samurai, and the crew are down below doing everything they can, wrecking enemies, wrecking plans, wrecking faces. The crew's united. The alliance is all in. Let's save Wano and then take a sake bath. And Luffy, at the top, wielding a power only the true King of Freedom could hold. When the dust settles, Kaido's on the ground, looking like, did I really just get beat by a grinning cartoon character? And Luffy, he's exhausted, but glowing. The king born from Shanks' dream, forged in hardship, shaped in battle, awakened as the hero who's gonna change the world.